Okay, this video is to review the Act 2, Scene 3 comprehension and analysis questions. So it says for number 1 to click the first two speech bubbles on the left and the quill next to line 10. Why does Friar Lawrence talk about Mother Nature being both a tomb and a womb? That is pretty simple, right? So he's talking about the morning. He's out there picking herbs and I have to fill this basket with medicinal plants before the sun dries up, the morning dew gets too high in the sky. Earth is both life's mother and life's tomb. Thus, many different plants are born from nature. Next to line 10. Okay, sorry. Mother Earth is nature's womb, but it's also nature's tomb where we bury the dead. It's pretty explicitly stated if you click on the bubbles. So why does he talk about Mother Nature being a tomb and a womb? Because we put the dead in the earth, and he's picking plants, and plants also come from the earth. He goes on to talk about herbs being like people. That leads us right into number 2. He talks about how they have the power to both heal and hurt. And how does this truth relate to theme of love and loyalty? Well, if people are like herbs in that they have the capacity for both good and for evil, for helping or for harming, how does it relate to themes of love and loyalty? There are a bunch of different ways that you could look at this. It's up to your imagination to think about how does human nature and the human nature's capacity for good and for evil relate to love? Well, think about the things that we do for love, right? Some people are driven to do evil things in the name of love. Same goes for loyalty. That's where my brain went. But I saw that you guys had a bunch of different really good answers. There is no one right answer as long as it makes sense and it ties in a meaningful way, and shows that you understand the metaphor. Number 3, what 2 things does Friar guess about why Romeo is visiting so early? I know that he said that either he's been awakened early by something bothering him or he never went to sleep last night. So let's see. Line 40. It says, of course, every old man's mind has worry sitting there like a guard. When untroubled youth with few cares lie down to sleep, their slumbers are free of troubles. Therefore, your earliness assures me that some disturbance of the mind has roused you from your bed early. Or if that's not the case, I think I've guessed it. You haven't been to bed at all. So he was right in guessing that he's never been to bed. He asked if he was with Rosalind when he realized he was incorrect about that part. Speech bubbles are 49. What metaphors does Romeo use in this part of the scene? At 49, Romeo talks about what he's been up to. He said, no, I've forgotten all about Rosalind and the trouble that went along with her. So where was he? And he starts speaking in riddles, which actually annoyed the friar. He says, I'll tell you before you can ask again. I was at a party with my enemy, and suddenly I wounded one of them, and they were also wounded by me, but both of us can be healed by your holy medicine. I carry no hatred, blessed man, because what will help me will likewise help my enemy. So he's using these metaphors of being at war and of wounding as a metaphor for love. And the healing thing that the friar can do is to marry the two of them, as we find out later on. What does Romeo want from the friar? Speak clearly. Confessing in riddles will only earn you ambiguous forgiveness. Like, you have to be specific in your confessions to a holy man. Romeo says, no, directly, my heart is set on the beautiful daughter of Lord Capulet. Her heart is set on mine also. Only thing missing is your joining us in holy marriage. So he wants the friar to marry them. Why is Friar Lawrence angry about this? 72. Holy Saint Francis, what a change is here. Have you forgotten, Rosalind, whom you loved so much? That quickly young men's love must lie in their eyes, not their hearts. Mary, mother of Jesus, how many salty tears have washed across your lovesick cheeks for Rosalind? The salty water has been wasted instead of seasoning your love. It hasn't preserved it or spiced it up for you to enjoy. The sun hasn't yet cleared the sky of your sighs, and your former groans are still ringing in my ancient ears. Look here, on your cheek is the stain of an old tear that hasn't been washed off yet. As sure as you were you and your sorrows were yours, both you and your sorrows were for Rosalind. Romeo tries to defend himself. Oh, sorry. He goes on to say, you've changed, have you? Well, remember this proverb. Women will be unfaithful when men are not dedicated, right? So that answers the question. The friar is angry with Romeo because of his fickleness, right? He's flip-flopped so quickly. And he's suggesting when he says, women may fall when there's no strength in men. There are a couple ways that you can interpret it. Hang on one second. Let me think about how I want to say this. Okay, so according to my Shakespeare, there's two possible interpretations. Physically weaker women may fall if not supported physically by stronger men, or morally weaker may be unfaithful without an example of a reliable, consistent man. So that Romeo, he's saying that Romeo is going to end up with a weak woman that can't depend on him because he is fickle himself, which is actually good advice. If you want to have a faithful partner, you need to be faithful and true and steady yourself. So, life advice from Miss S. Anyway, Romeo claims that the friar told him to bury love. And the friar responds by saying Romeo is putting one love in a grave only to dig up another. And when he says dig up another grave, he is referring to Juliet. So in a way, he's talking about Romeo digging up Juliet's grave. This metaphor foreshadows the death that he's going to cause Juliet's as well as his own. Speech bubbles at line 88. What accusation does Friar Lawrence make about Romeo? I remember him talking about how he's like a child. He said Rosalind was smart and knew that you were just reciting romance lines from memory, like a child who knows books by heart but can't read. So he's talking about love because he's heard about love, but he doesn't actually understand love, like a child that knows stories or can recite stories but doesn't actually know how to read. That's quite a burn, sick burn. Why does he agree to marry the two of them? Because that is the thing that he agrees to do. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So we knew from the very get-go that the friar is like a neutral party. He is a counselor and a confidant for both Romeo and for Juliet. So it just stands to reason that this would be a good opportunity to try and join these houses together. And as he put it, turn their rancor, turn both of your households' rancor to pure love. And rancor here is hostility. I'll comply because this alliance may be happy enough to turn your hatred of your two households into love. And then he says, I want to act fast. Let's go. Romeo says, I want to go now. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And the Friar Lawrence closes this scene by saying, wisely and slow, my son, those who run fast will stumble. Oof, prophetic. the tragedy that unfolds later, a lot of it can be chalked up to rashness, not taking their time. Even Juliet was concerned about that. She said in the balcony scene that she was concerned about that they're rushing it, and therefore that their love will die. And even the friar here is telling them to slow down, but then he agrees to marry them. He's part of it as well. So, yep, that's pretty much it for this scene.